Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Muslim teachers teaching social science subjects in modern universities face a difficult problem. Our goal in this talk is to explain what that problem is and how we can take steps towards solving it. When we teach social sciences, we promote the idea that Western societies are superior to Islamic societies, and also that Western knowledge is superior to Islamic knowledge. In particular, that the West has acquired knowledge which is superior to the Quran in terms of providing us with guidance on how to build our societies. So, this idea, we as Muslim teachers cannot pass on to our students. But the dilemma is we don't know how to counter this either. So, what are we supposed to do? How can we teach knowledge which is necessary for operating in today's world, but also avoiding giving the message that Western societies are superior to Islamic societies and Western teachings are superior to the teachings of the Quran and the Hadith and our own intellectual tradition? So, in this talk, my intended audience is Muslim teachers who are already dissatisfied with Western paradigms, but they don't know what to do instead of that. So, my goal is to explain exactly what the problem is, to articulate and how we can develop an alternative when there is nothing really around in terms of textbooks. How to avoid promoting secular mindsets in our students, and how to get them to appreciate our own heritage and Islamic knowledge, how to build character, how to promote Islamic ideals. All of these are very difficult to do while teaching Western social sciences and other subjects. Our problem is the hidden curriculum. Even when we teach neutral things like mathematics or technical, apparently some things which have no moral implications, we are actually teaching the superiority of Western knowledge, the superiority of the Western approach to solving our problems. We are teaching the Eurocentric worldview that all important knowledge was created by Europeans. So, unless we expose this, bring this out, this hidden agenda, and critique it, the students will absorb this message without uh, at the heart of a secular worldview, which we end up teaching our students, is the idea that there are two separate domains of knowledge. One domain of knowledge covers the world and its contents, physics, biology, chemistry. And there is another separate domain of knowledge, which is the spiritual, related to afterlife, judgment day, etc. That second domain is not scientific and not something to be studied or taught. It's something that inside your heart, and you are free to believe whatever you like, but it does not enter into the public domain. So there are certain things as facts which everybody must accept. Values are your personal things, and your mind and your heart uh, can choose whatever it wants, but the facts it has to accept. So, morality, our goal in life, what will happen after death, these things are irrelevant to knowledge. And the claim is that the knowledge that the West has produced is objective. It's free of values, it has no moral implications. But this is not true. Actually, the objective knowledge being taught by the West and what we end up teaching hides a very poisonous moral foundation. Without actually meaning to or even knowing it, we end up teaching Western epistemology, which says that there are two types of knowledge. There is knowledge of external reality, the world out there, and that is mechanical, mathematical, objective, and the same for everyone. And there's also knowledge of our internal reality. What is my soul, my heart, my feelings? This is subjective, this is not scientific and it's not useful to discuss in the public. So, because it varies from person to person. So, without actually explicitly discussing and critiquing this, we end up endorsing this when we teach our students these scientific subjects, and they end up absorbing this belief. Islamic epistemology also divides knowledge into two kinds, but our division is very different from theirs. We have ilm nafi, Allahumma inni asaluka ilmun nafi'un, and Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min ilmun la yanfa. So there is the type of knowledge which does not bring benefit. And what exactly is benefit? Well, ilm nafi is that which allows us to reach Jannah. It draws us to closer to God. It teaches us what kind of actions are pleasing to God, what will earn the rewards of the Akhira, and what kinds of actions are uh, harmful to us because they draw us away from God and they will damage us on the day of judgment. So this distinction is very different from the external and internal distinction which is made by the West. So the key question for Muslim teachers is, how do we teach useful knowledge to our students? If we can do so, this has enormous rewards. Allah Ta'ala eases the path to Jannah for the scholars. All of the creation prays for the seekers of knowledge, and the ink of the scholars is weighed with the blood of the martyrs, the shuhada. And at the same time, if we are teaching useless knowledge, this is harmful to us, to our students, and may Allah Ta'ala protect us from the consequences on the day of judgment. So the question is, how do we know whether what we are teaching is useful or useless? And if we are teaching useless knowledge, how can we stop this, and how can we prevent this, and how can we convert our teaching to the teaching of useful knowledge? Teaching is an amana, an enormous trust. Allah Ta'ala has placed in front of us the most important resources for rebuilding the ummah. We are all talking as Muslims, we are concerned about the Islamic revival. Well, the youth of the Islam and how they are trained, these are the ones who are going to be the change makers and the leaders. So what we teach them has direct bearing on the future of the Islamic civilization. We shape the minds and the hearts of the students, and we shape the future of the ummah. So the question before us is how we can fulfill this responsibility. How can we teach useful knowledge and avoid teaching them useless knowledge? How we can teach them knowledge which will change their lives and change the future of the ummah. If we do nothing, we just take the textbooks that we are given and teach whatever is their contents to the students, then we are automatically teaching them a secular mindset. The Western knowledge says that it is only about this dunya, it has nothing to do with the Akhira, and so that's what we are teaching the students. And the default student mindset is that we are learning this knowledge not to get to the Jannah, not to get closer to God, not to improve our deen, but because we will get a degree, and from the degree we will get a job, and the job will allow us to make money. So the purpose of knowledge is to make money. So since innamal amal bin niyat, and this knowledge is meant for success of this dunya, so it's automatically ilmun la yanfa, and it is the type of knowledge from which the Prophet ﷺ sought protection. So as Muslim teachers, we must not fall into this trap, and we must redirect the attention of the students towards the Akhirah and towards how this knowledge. So the first step in creating change is to change our intentions. Are we just doing a job? We are teaching the students whatever the administration tells us in order to make money for ourselves. So then this has nothing to do with knowledge. So First, we must change our own intention that we are here to serve the Ummah. We are here to provide useful knowledge to the students. We are here to create the leaders of tomorrow and those who will be making the change that is needed to promote the future of the Ummah. That is our goal in teaching. So, with this goal, then we ask the students to change their intentions. They are not here to get knowledge, to acquire a degree, and to get jobs and to get money. We ask them to make the intention that the knowledge that they will learn will be used for the service of humanity. Our goal is to seek the success of the Akhira, not the success of this dunya. So this message that the knowledge that we are acquiring is for the purpose of the goals that Islam teaches us to pursue, that is the first step towards teaching useful knowledge. So the second step is to teach the material as an outsider. Normally we teach economics or mathematics as if these are the great truths. We believe in them and we are teaching our students to believe in them. Instead, say that these are some things that have been developed in the West, some theories, some ideas, and we need to learn them because today this is the language of the world. It's just like we learn English, even though this is not our native language, because we need to communicate with the world. This is what is going on in the world. But we don't accept this as the truth. We don't speak this language at home, and this is not the best language for understanding our deen. So all of these critical ideas that we are learning this as an outsider for a specific worldly purpose creates a critical distance. We are able to say, okay, here's some ideas. This has some truth and some value, and also some falsehood and some errors which we can analyze. So the first step is to create a distance between the subject we are teaching and our own beliefs and ideas. When we step back from teaching a course as an insider and a believer and teach it as an outsider and a critic, then we can acquire some perspective. What is this knowledge? What is this used for? What is the worldview that generated this knowledge? So, for example, the economic theory of today and most social science is based on the idea that there is no God. So that's why we need to pursue pleasure and power. There are no constraints to the pursuit of pleasure and power. The conception of society is like that of a jungle because we are all animals and we are derived from animals. If there is no God, then there is no other option. Evolution is the only possibility, because if there is no God, then that's the only way human beings could have come into existence. So then this world, this human society is just a society of animals. We compete with each other. We are, if I find you weak, I will kill you, because survival of the fittest is the only law of the jungle. There is no, as opposed to this, we can say that the Islamic view of the society is that human beings are cooperative. We could take care of each other. We don't maximize our profits and pleasure because we are out for success of the Akhira. So we take care of each other. There is social responsibility. We don't have individualism. We put the needs of others above our own needs. So all of these messages about how a society works by sacrifice and by love, these are absent from Western social science. So if we want our students to use the knowledge that they have gained to provide service to the Ummah, then we must give them knowledge which can be used in this way, knowledge which can lead to action. So there is a problem with that, in that the textbooks we teach often contain knowledge which is purely theoretical, useful in classrooms, but not outside. We need to teach knowledge which can actually be used, like driving a car, imparting real world skills. So there is a problem with that, in that we will not be able to find this knowledge in the textbooks. So we will have to create this knowledge. And for this purpose, we can assign students projects. So for example, when I was teaching poverty in economics, I said to my students that there is a slum nearby, so go out, take interviews of the people, find out what poverty is like, find out what they need. So they went and took surveys and interviews, and they found they had some very interesting findings. And similarly, whatever we are studying, find out how this knowledge translates into action about the real world. Assign students projects which will translate that theory into practice. And as I said, the usual textbooks will not have the material that we need to carry out this action, because in the Western epistemology, there's a distinction between theory and practice, and the textbooks teach theories, but they do not teach practice. But fortunately, we have modern tools, very new tools, which can do this for us, and we can ask ChatGPT that I'm planning to teach a lecture today on such and such theories. Tell me how this theory translates into action, and what are the implications of this theory in the real world. And so we will be able to get access to the latest available ideas about how we can develop the lectures. The reason I'm saying this, and the reason I'm saying that we need to use modern tools, is because this material is not available in the textbook, so we will have to create it. And one of the best tools for accessing currently available knowledge is this ChatGPT. A lot of the theories that we teach are directly in conflict with Islam. The prime example is the theory of utility maximization from economics, which says that the goal of our lives is to maximize the pleasure that we get in this dunya. So this is explicitly contrary to the Quranic teaching, which says that those who seek the pleasure of the nafs, which is they will not be they will be deprived of the blessings of the Akhira. So what we have, when we teach these theories, we must recognize and reject them, and we must follow the methodology of the kalima la ilaha illallah. First, we recognize and reject the false gods, and then we affirm the one true God. When we start to do this, it will be very lonely. Everybody else is teaching one thing and we are teaching something else. And so we need to seek sources of strength. So first is the Quran and the Sunnah and the classic Islamic scholarship, which provides a lot of background and useful materials which we can incorporate into our classes. But there are also dissatisfied teachers all over the globe, and we can find others who share our views and build strength, share ideas, give them ideas from what we are teaching and the new contents we are developing, and ask them for help as well. And also, there is a lot of material now, academic material, being developed in the West, which recognizes the harms that they have suffered from abandoning the moral component of education, and they're trying to rebuild it. So there is a lot of material available in the West, and we can access this by using the latest information technologies. And so this can also be a source of strength for us. So we conclude this lecture on a note that the teachers are the most important agents of change, social change. What we teach our students will shape the future of our society. And so we have huge responsibility, and the reform begins in the classroom. What we teach our students will shape their thoughts and shape their lives. So we have an enormous responsibility. We can destroy their lives by making them capitalists, having narrow visions and pursuing only their selfish pleasures, or we can make them have higher visions and seek to change the world and seek to follow the path of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so this is our main responsibility. So let us end this lecture with a dua to Allah to enable us to fulfill this difficult and challenging and enormous responsibility that we face as Muslim teachers in this modern world, teaching secular and atheistic subjects. Allahumma arina haqqa haqqan warzuqna taba'ahu wa arina batila batilan warzuqna janabahu. May Allah Ta'ala enable us to recognize the truth and to follow it, and to recognize and reject the batil. And Allahumma akhrijni min al-dhulumat al-wahmi wa akrimni min nur al-fahm.